way, but if you push it to an ISO setting of more than an 800, you get 3 types of noise appearing all at the same time, and it's a nightmare to deal with. But let me come back again to this technical questions about technicality of the image. Most of the time, these guys had it. They had it pinned down. Right? I've met engineers from Sony, people who come from Minolta, from Kodak, and the rest of it. They had it pinned down. And if you look at the quality of what is possible from the new Samsung phones and from the iPhone 4 and 5. Let me tell you that the quality that you get from those cameras are superior to the cameras that cost $20,000 US at the beginning of the digital era. So remember to get all of that in proportion. So let me run through, because they'll probably kick us out at 8 o'clock. There are 180 odd pictures to get through. I want you to see lots of pictures that I've shot, and I want to get over just one key concept now for you, those in photography, for those who are trying to understand what the business model, if you like, of photography. What's the core concept in photography? Why is it that in history books we will say that the real inventor of photography was not Daguerre, who did come out with the daguerreotype before Fox-Talbot, but Fox-Talbot. What is the key technological leap that Fox-Talbot gave us? Do you know?
First step, UI.
No. What technological leap did Fox-Talbot give when he invented photography? His kind of photography. Let me give you a clue. The feature of daguerreotypes is that you make a unique image. It's on metal. You cannot reproduce it unless you take another picture of it. Fox-Talbot produced a paper negative. So from a negative, you could make many prints. That's the basic principle. Work once and earn many. Now, isn't that a good thing to work on? And that's what I've been very lucky to be able to do in my photography. So let's get to it. This is the work from Scotland. It was the first book I ever shot, and once I caught the eye of my remote control, it was the first book I ever shot, and I think one of the other things I want you to take away from this is that all of these pictures have been used many times, and I hope many more times again. And when I made the shots, I was working for a great landscape photographer called Faye Godwin. And she was wonderful and generous, and when she was asked to do a book on Scotland, which she didn't feel like doing, she asked the publisher to give me the job. That's how wonderful a boss she was. And after 2 trips, I told her, Claire, I've done it, delivered the book. What? What? It would have taken her 9 months and 5 or 6 trips. Now, she would have done a much better job. But she also recognized that I had some spare money after the advance. And the key then is about working fast. So I went up to Scotland and shot these pictures, which I say I have used many times before. Yeah. So if you want to ask me anything about it, please just raise your hand or shout. These were all shot on Actochrome 25, 35mm film. Now scanned, of course. And I think that the key to the way I work is that I discovered that I could actually write about photography. That's because for me, it was very important to actually understand what the process was. And in order to understand it, the best way to really to teach anyone about how photography works is actually trying to figure it out yourself and explain it to people. So that's what I've been doing. So these are the black and white days. These were the analog days. These were when I was making prints. And this set now is the start of really my love of Central Asia. And although I didn't realize it then, I think my love of Islamic culture as well. So this trip was part of a boyhood, it was a fulfillment of a boyhood dream. When I was little, I came across a book about Marco Polo, and I thought, what is a lucky devil? You know, he could travel all this way to Beijing and back with his uncle and his father, making money on the way. So I always wanted to actually travel the same route. So this is more or less what we did. We drove from London, across Europe, across Turkey, across Turkmenistan, Armenia, Turkmenistan, and then through into Soviet Central Asia. So these last one was Wavy Girls, Turkish men in northeastern Anatolia. And these are pictures I'm pleased to say I've used again and again. Are these going too fast for you?
No.
Okay. I don't give you a chance to
Are these black and white days?
Sorry?
Are we still on the black and white days?
Yeah, these are black and white days. It's still shot on mostly like M3. Like M3. So that's the other thing I would like you to keep in mind as well. Many of these black and whites are all shot on the same focal length lens, 35 log. So you can. What happens when you have to work with a single focal length lens? Some of you earlier were asking me, well, how can I improve my photography? One of my tips is to take down the zoom. All right? Keep it at whatever setting you want. Take it down, and then spend the next month. Okay, this is tough. But if you can fast for a month, you can take your zoom lens down for a month and just work like that. And you will find that you're moving much more, you're looking much harder, and your photography will just leap up.
Do you mean with a prime lens?
Sorry?
Working with prime lens?
With us, sir?
Prime lens.
Prime lens, not necessarily prime lens, because many of you will have zooms, which is why I say just take down the zoom to whatever setting, any setting, and then just work with that setting. If you have a prime lens, then of course it's much easier. You don't have to take the zoom down, and you get much better quality too, which of course is one of the reasons why some of us love prime lenses so much. You understand my prime lens, yes? Okay. Now, where were we? So, all right, so that was just a hint. Now this begins the work in Central Asia, and I suppose it's a good example of the kind of tricks I get up to. I was working on a picture disc in London when, do you remember, it was a wonderful time when Ceausescu, Romania was liberated from the Ceausescus, there was fall of Berlin, there was an earthquake in Los Angeles, there was troubles in Beirut. It was a great time to be working on the news desk. And there was the fall of the Soviet Union. Collapse of the Union and the creation of the Commonwealth of Independent States. And I found actually illustrated working on a newspaper was much too much like hard work. So, to cut the long story short, I ended up teaching at university. And by then, the Commonwealth of Independent States had started to get going, and I met someone who was going to be my future wife, who had this dream to go to the Tajik Pamirs. So we started to think how we were going to do it. And I thought, I know how we're going to do it. We're going to run academic programs out in Central Asia. So I presented the idea to my Vice Chancellor and said we could start academic programs in Central Asia. We'll be amongst the first British universities even to set foot in this place, because most people had no idea where is Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. And to cut a long and very interesting story short, actually, we spent the next 10 years developing academic programs, improving, upgrading, updating photojournalism in Kyrgyzstan. And of course, it meant that we were paid to come up to Central Asia rather often, and I could photograph in wonderful places like here, Bukhara, and more Bukhara. Yeah. I just travel around Central Asia. Bulgaria, Ibrahim, pretty much, Kyrgyzstan. So yeah, this was selling benzene in Osh and Kyrgyz traditional dress. So photography can open many doors for you, and this led to an exhibition in London where we upset all the protocols because we invited a cabinet minister to open the show, and we should have gone through the Vice Chancellor, of course. So we were very lucky. But fortunately, he accepted before there were any problems. So the Vice Chancellor had to bring him. And now, one thing I want to say about photography because of people, because I'm asked that very often, unless it's like a public space like this, which is like ethical, and everybody is out and enjoying themselves, I always want to create a relationship with someone I'm photographing, especially in order to get close to them. One of the things that I've noticed about photographs of people over the years is that many amateurs are so nervous about relationships with other people that they're always sneaking the pictures. And I have a theory that the picture you make of someone actually records the relationship that you have with them. So if you sneak the shot, if they're feeling uncomfortable, that will be in the picture, and that reduces the usability of the image. So these are all in Kyrgyzstan and Central Asia. Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying the quick pictures and then you use Photoshop. These are from color transparencies, and I think perhaps one of the how shall I say, maybe one of the advantages of having been developed my photography in these days with color transparency film is that I work on the principle that I get it right in the camera. Okay, so my principle now is you get it right in the camera, and then maybe you make it perfect in the computer.
So these perfect?
These are pretty perfect. They didn't use a lot. For me, the functional definition is what matters, and I think that's a useful point to make as well. Because there are different kinds of perfection. If you look at camera club, there's one kind of perfection. I remember someone looking looking through this, having seen these pictures, and he said, you know, if I presented those pictures in my camera club, I would have been thrown out of the door. But I break rules, apparently. I don't know what the rules are, but I break them. Okay, slow me down or speed up if you're uncomfortable about the speed. Or if you want to ask about any specific picture, we can do that. We can go back to it. And I think the other point about you've talked about shooting in RAW and this kind of transparency. Let me horrify some of the people here and admit, because it's going to come out sooner or later, that I shoot JPEGs maybe about 99% of the time. Last time I did that at a workshop in London of 150 people, and I heard about 149 sharp intakes of bread. Okay, let's stop there, thanks. And I will explain why, because it's actually in a way quite specific to the way I work. I was shooting this for an exhibition, so that's fine, and that's in the film days. But when I'm shooting for a book, I will produce maybe 10 to 15,000 images. The book itself, I will need to present to the art directors, to the designers, anything between 800 to 1,000 images. And my publisher, bless him, her, will give me maybe 4 or 5 months to produce a book. So someone had, is it step by step? Who had step by step? One of you had my latest book, which I think has about 850 pages. You have. Thank you. Did you bring the packet sign? So I will for you. There was 800 or 850 images in it, which had to be presented. They weren't all used, of course. I have a very short time. I'm supposed to be writing the thing at the same time. So do you think I'm going to waste my time producing JPEGs out of RAW files when I have set up the camera so that I pretty much get what I want in the cam? No, I'm not. I know the boys at Sony. They know their colorimetry. They know their photometry. They know their sensitometry. Set it up right. I'm very proud of the fact that I can use images straight out of the camera. Not very often, I have to admit. But when it happens, it's a red letter day, and I think that's how life should be. Easy. Minimum work. Shoot into the book, and then the neurons start rolling. Yes. So, and I would advise that's in Kyrgyzstan, or a dish called Kishkanak. Do you have anything like that? Where you eat 5 different elements of the land. Yeah. let's roll and then this is familiar sight to you. Rolling. Yeah. That was a synagogue in Bukhara. Synagogue, yeah. Yeah, and this is, stop there. I mean, this is like, that's a standard shot of the register in Samarkand. Anyone been there? Samarkand. Tashkent, okay, so this is Samarkand. It's one of those great pieces of Islamic architecture made by Timur Al-Khan, Timur Lane. But that's kind of a standard shot. And if you can remember what that last shot I showed you in the snow, that is one of the things I am looking for. Because one of the things that I have to do in my books is to provide just enough to make people think actually there is a different way to shoot it, but not so much that the reader is intimidated or scared. I learned that lesson when I was editor of a magazine called Photography Magazine. And we put in our principle of absolute best work. So we showed Martin Boo and Cartier-Bresson and Ernst Haas and Patrick Litchfield and Lord Snowden. And readers hated it because it was too far away from what was achievable before. So I learned a very big lesson there. The professional photographers loved it. You know, they queued up outside the offices to show me portfolios. But the general amateur hated it. And, well, since then, I try to balance that line. There we go. Well, it's not Central Asia. Mind you, that's 10 years, come from 10 years' work. Sorry, stop there, because you might need some anything. Got the eagle in Kyrgyzstan. Tell you a little bit about how I work, because to answer a question that came up in the interval as well. So much of what happens in what works in photography is that historical moment I mentioned, that it can take place in just 2 seconds. We're holding this picture up. I've shown it many times, and it's just fair and static. But this actually lasted maybe 1.5 seconds. Right? If you're not ready for the shot, if you haven't worked out what you want when something happens, you'll miss it. It takes you much longer than 1.5 seconds to lift up your camera, figure out what the focus is, make sure that the exposure is right. All right? That's 5 seconds already. So when I'm working, it's very interesting to watch. And let me give you another really very strongly held piece of advice here for you as well in a minute. I have the camera up to my eye nearly all the time. So if I'm walking in between shots, the camera's not down here, it's up here. Yeah? It's up here. Why? Because how long does it take for it to get from here to up here? Half a second. Yeah? Half a second is time that you need.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's one big piece of advice. When you're working, when you're shooting, you have to keep your camera as close to your eye as possible. One of the very interesting reasons why point-and-shoot cameras have led to this explosion of photographs is what? It's actually already. It's ready all the time. Right? And there is no kind of physical movement. There's space to traverse before you actually shoot the picture. It's one of the reasons why the behavior and the way photographs are created have changed. The other is, of course, that when you hold a camera like this, you have much more variety in terms of the point of view than you do with an SLR. So that leads to 2 little bits of advice. One is, if you want a variety of view or whatever, don't just shoot at 2 meters or 1.78 meters off the ground. Okay? Look for low viewpoints, and I'll show you examples of that later, and look for high viewpoints as well. Through these. This is just Terminal shots. This is Penang. Next one is Zanzibar. Next, see? Yeah, Zanzibar. There it is, Turkey. In chipping, you're taking the eye off the ball, you're taking the eye off the action. Do not chip. Remember I said the Marco Polo exhibition. Do you know how long it was between making some of the pictures and before I saw what I had? 5 months.
Oh my God.
Okay? So, of course, I had to know what I was doing. I was extremely nervous. But if I can wait 5 months, you can wait until you sit down and have your coffee. Okay? So, if you want to tape your Zoom, the other thing you can do is get some black tape and you stick it on the back of your LCD screen. No, I'm exaggerating because all these cameras you can turn off the review, and that's the first thing I do when I pick up the camera. Turn off image preview. So I just that you try that, you do that, and you see what happens. I've been photographed by professionals to produce portrait pictures of for a book, and they just go chip 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 chip, and then they look at the preview, and it's actually I find it extremely irritating, if nothing else. Okay, so this is the beginning of work in India. So this was a trip specifically to shoot for a book. Now, in theory, it would be nice to just shoot any old thing that came along, and if it looked good, then I could use it in the book. But I have this kind of special requirement for books, in that I need to illustrate specific technical points. So I had to shoot for that. And at first, actually, I found it a bit of a chore. I found it a problem. Then I realized, actually, it was making my photography much sharper, much better. Can you guess why? Can you think why? Why would it be sharpened by if I was forced to look for specific images? Because I was looking for specific images. This is in India. Anyone been to India? Yeah. India, you get drowned in images. Yeah? The first 3 days I was in India, I just kind of walked around in a daze because there's so much was happening. I could not take it in. And I think in general life as well, you don't have to be in India, you can just walk down the Sheikh highway. There's still a huge amount of things happening. If you are looking for specific things. What it does is it helps to focus your mind, focus your eyes. So if you want another piece of advice, start working in projects. Take a specific kind of project, whether it's doorways, dust, grass, I don't know, camel's feet, I don't know, whatever comes to mind, and then try to do something with it. Okay, camel's feet, what a stupid idea is that? But work on it. Astonish me, astonish yourself. So of course I'm working with light slot. I love light. I love beautiful things, I have to say. Let's stop here. And then while we were in India, we would take these tuk-tuks, which is like one of the most dangerous things you can do in the world. Do you know how many road deaths they have in India a year? It's 6 figures. It's nearly 150,000 road deaths a year. But I loved it. So I started a little project. I would shoot from the tuk-tuk. So that's using frame the elements of the tuk-tuk and just working with what I have, what you have. So all from yeah, so there. And this is Kathmandu. And of course, one of the things I talk about this particular shot because in other piece of advice, it's that, you know, we were talking about how we judge pictures from what we've done in the past. Should have added another element, which is that if we want to work as photographers, we actually have to be good at, well, reading the future. Right? We have to know we're working towards, not what is happening now, because, you know, that old rule in sports photography, if you've seen it, you've missed it. Yeah? Now, that operated in the days that you used single lens reflex cameras, and anything that you saw meant that it was not on film. Okay? These days with Sony SLTs and live view, that's not so much the case. But so basically, you need to read the future. This shot was possible only because I saw the dog looking up and trying to assess whether he was going to be bothered to jump up onto this pedestal. And I was maybe 150 meters away, a big square in Kathmandu. So I just ran. I didn't know what he was going to do, whether he really was going to jump or not, but I ran all the way across the square. And that was a big risk because, you know, I'm not that fit, and you run 100 meters, and then you have to deal with the fact that your heart rate is up and you're a little bit shaky. Anyway, I got the shot, but only because I ran to be in position. If I hadn't, this guy, I don't know whether you can see it, it's reversed there, and his position, that conjunction lasted a fifth of a second, or a tenth of a second even, because that guy was just walking steadily. So it has to be ready. And this one, sometimes you don't know quite which is going to work, but yeah, it's that one and this one, and I've used both several times, so that's good. This is nice and colourful. Sorry? Questions? No. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at this one. Again, because it's actually really hard to shoot something that's so easy. You've got colour, you've got light, you've got mountainscapes. What's hard to shoot is something that isn't the first thing you see. And it's tough that because I was with the tour group and we had 15 minutes. So the only way to do it is you have a camera up to your eye and you shoot and you shoot and you shoot. And then you work things, and then finally, if we had more time, I'd show you the sequence of how to arrive at something which is more interesting than a view of just prayer flags and then answers. Yeah, let's just roll through. So, any other questions? Oh, by the way, sorry, I'll come to you. These are all JPEG files, which I've hardly touched. And I can also tell you that the last time I had to use anything like even 12 megapixels worth of details. I can count on the fingers of my hand through the last 53 books. that's a long way back.
Yeah.
But we can remember. So we're talking about the guys, the three
Yeah.
guys sitting on a bike and a fire. Yeah.
Is there anything like which was in your mind to capture that, or it was like a click on your tablet?
That one. No, it's just a lucky shot. Because you see, you're on a tuk-tuk, and that guy is traveling at some mad speed, and everybody else is traveling at some mad speed. That's why I thought this would be an interesting project. And so all those shots were taken while we're traveling at pretty mad speed. Yeah. So.
Like when you showcase the other picture, like where the guy is praying and then the dog is there. That's the story connected in between the frame, like three subjects, like the bird and the animal and then the human.
Yeah.
But whereas the previous 2-3 pictures in India, like it's like a passerby, you just click the picture and you just want to showcase that, or is there anything particularly in your mind?
No. Okay. To tell the truth, you have lots of different kinds of pictures, and you generate pictures in many different ways. So let's go through. So some of these, like this one, you see an opportunity and you wait for it to develop. In the tuk-tuk ones, you have to grab whatever is there, and because things are happening so quickly, you have to work instinctively. All right? And then you have to rely on pattern recognition and that. I just need to tell you it's 8 o'clock, so if anybody needs to leave, feel free. Okay. And then sometimes you discover things. Okay. This is like the last one and this one. First times I've really started to use reflections a lot, and we'll see. Yeah. Let's come through. So this was a shoot in New York, and it just illustrates. I'm trying to illustrate how you have to take what comes and work with it. So you have a really foggy day or a really wet day like this, then work with it and use what it offers you. Wet day in Venice. Wet day in Venice. Actually, there are a lot of wet days in Venice. There's another wet day in Venice. Okay, now, this is where I have started to use reflections a lot. And basically I just stick the camera on the ground near some water and press the button. Because you're not going to get me lying down to check the treatment. Okay. Yeah. And then I discovered, see, that when you put the camera on the ground, you have a built-in tripod. It's the best tripod in the world.
Yes.
So they have to carry these damn things around with you. Sorry. So it's there. So this is like, I don't know, it's about 8-second exposure. Yeah. So I suppose that's the other thing that I'm saying. This is a reflection. This is a Paolo Pellegrini type shot. No Photoshop in it, nothing. A little bit, I have to admit, a little bit of Bernard Dodds to bring some elements up, but otherwise completely straight shot. We'll go through this quite quickly because this is from a TV series that I did in Singapore. Let's just run through it. Thanks. Because I want to get through to other things. Oh, it's more reflections. So you can see I use a big variety of lenses. I love everything from 12mm to 400. And if I had enough dirhams, I would have myself an 800mm lens as well.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Do you carry those lenses at one time in a big bag or? Like
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I have to say I use mainly zooms. So I use the 12-24 and the size 24-70. Sometimes the 70-200. I use the Canon 100-400, which I have to say isn't a terribly great piece of glass, but it's convenient. because I'm using pictures to illustrate my books, I have to shoot a big variety of material. People ask me, well, what do you shoot? And my answer, if I'm awake and smart, is that I shoot anything that moves and those things that don't. The other thing is, one of the things I love about photography is that although I've been in this business for over 30 years, I keep discovering new ways of doing stuff. I did that in the film days, and then now here, let's run the sequence. These are of reflections of windows within windows. So it's a whole kind of New Zealand series. And then these are my some of my caterpillar views. And well, a variety of things. I don't know how this big thing got here, but anyway. Yeah. This one. Okay, let's pause here. Here's my caterpillar view. This is something else that shocks. I think that's why I don't get invited to camera clubs, because I say completely iconoclastic things. This sequence is of work where I call my caterpillar views, because I say actually it's my caterpillar that does the framing. Because the very low viewpoints or viewpoints stuffed up inside a hedge or on the ground, some of the bench shots that you saw. But the other crucial thing is I don't check the scene through the viewfinder, nor do I chin. I can't chin, can I? Or I certainly can't admit to it now. And one of the really interesting things I found is if I try to feel the shot, I know this sounds a little bit, if I try to feel the shot, I found actually that my hit rate shooting this way was as high as if I was actually framing, possibly even higher. So you may not be very impressed by these pictures, but none of these were framed in the viewfinder. So it's all about, one of my little techniques is to put the camera on self-timer. I think I did that on this one. Put it on self-timer because if the water's too far away, I just hold it on my on the strap, put it on self-timer, and then I lower it down. So to get it as close to the water as possible. And so I'm leaving my caterpillars to do all the work. I think it's going to charge me a lot more these days, but that's great. Yeah. And this is kind of where it started. Because I knew I wanted to have this kind of grass and these berries. And I didn't want to lie down on the ground to get these berries. So I just put the camera there, and I was astounded by the result. So I spent the next week exploring this technique. And that's so let's go there. Let's rest on. Yeah, thank you. So I thought it would be nice to end on that note, actually. That it is possible to make marvelous pictures. I think they're marvelous. I mean, you might not like them, but I don't care. What matters is that I find it really exciting to do. But you are not going through the kind of meticulous framing and all that. I was just going to say rubbish, but all that kind of procedure. It is in the way I'm trying to get. I could say I'm trying to get closer to the photographic process. I think that's nonsense. It's simply an approach which I find resonates with me. So if you take away anything at all, I think it is that someone asked me, how do I start making pictures? How do I start improving the pictures? And I said, very, very easy. This is in a gentleman's toilet. Yeah, so it has to work all the time. It's very easy. You turn the camera on, and you press the shutter button. And I was advising a friend of a friend, and he said, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what kind of, how to improve my photography. I said, where do you walk every day? Well, in a corporate corridor, you know. So I said, photograph it. And then it turns out that this boy is one of the well-paid expensive consultants. He has a Canon 5D Mark III, and he has a 14mm f2.8 lens. So I said, right, well, he's got a kit for this. Why aren't you using it? You are walking past images every day. So if you want to start in photography, start now. Thank you very much. So any questions? It's 6:19, so you're very free to leave. Any questions? Just come down now. On the cover of Time Life, you don't have to worry about what sensor is international standard or not. Right? You don't need to worry. They all work and they can all produce fantastic results. You know, the best coverage from the rebellion in Syria was all shot on iPhone. And it won some big prizes last week. All I would say is, if you're a wildlife or sports photographer, crop sensor is good because you have a cheap extension to your lens. If like me, you like wide angle, then stick with full frame. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the workshop. It's very informative and it's very good. The question I have for you is that I noticed that earlier on the slideshow, you're showing basically photographs of your travel street photography, which I quite like myself. And I see that no matter what, you actually use elements of composition, the lightings and everything, very well. But the question I have is that until what in your photography life did you decide that you want to take something different perspective? Like those ones you take pictures of that you're not looking at the viewfinder, nor chimping or whatever. Why did you decide to do something different?
I think that possibly leads to another piece of advice, I suppose. I'm not very good at following rules or formulas. I like to understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I like pictures that work. So I will respond to what I see. So if you remember that picture of the reflection of the Chrysler building in the car, we were walking past, there was a whole team of us, art director, editor, and a whole lot walking. I walked past, I went back, and I shot it.
Right.
Right? They went off ahead and copied and wondered where Tom was. That's simply about keeping your eye open. That's all.
Excuse me, I'm interested in about as you judge.
Sorry.
In HIPA. Now.
Hello, I'm interested about you as judge in the HIPA.
Yeah.
I want to know the rules specifically, how you judge any picture exactly. For example, the management they give you like manual, give you like rules before, or just up to you. How long time take for each picture? Taken 10, 1 minute, 10 minutes, and the judge all they take the decision, or each one takes part of the pictures.
Okay, I will tell you that we were told about the rules because that's public, and it was explained to us, and we understand them very well. As to what happens in the judging process, I'm afraid I'm not allowed to discuss the
I mean, generally, for example, you see like you have 1,000 pictures. All the judgment they put it in the website. They have not one or 2 or 5 or like this. All together the decision, or one by one he takes part of the picture. And then either you take 20, 30, 100 pictures, take decision alone, or you must, all the judges must be together to take the decision. By voting or
Ali can explain that.
Good evening, everybody. I'm the Secretary General of HIPA. My name is Mr. Ali Al. Okay, how it goes? We do have 4 categories, and each category has 3 judges. So 2 of them should say, on the first level of filtration, should say yes for your picture. If 2 says no, your picture go out. And after this level, your picture goes to the second level where they rate it with numbers. So we go from, for example, 10,000 pictures or 50,000 pictures to 10,000 pictures. 10,000 pictures go for third level. And where we reach a time with there is 300 or 500 pictures. And when we reach this point, all judges only rate the picture with numbers. What's usually happen in all competition or in all pictures, sorry to add this term, usually they rate picture with the 3 things. Forget the themes, forget the rules, forget everything. 3 things that they are, everyone, even my child, could judge the picture on: focus, stabilization, and color. We have an old school where they say from 10, where the focus 10, take 6 from 10. Why? Because your eyes cannot accept anything out of focus. 3 is take for the stabilization, and 1 is take for the color. Why? Because you accept in black and white. There is many schools for judging, but for your question in the HIPA, we do it this way.
You have idea how many participate this year on picture?
You're going to find it in the ending ceremony. And you will know how hard it was.
You state something about the need to read the future. And my question is the following, that now we are witnessing some new way of manufacturing new camera, which is the mirror versus the mirror. Is it now we are talking about some movement toward the mirrorless camera in the future in a way that is not feasible to invest in this type of camera, which is going to be phased in the future? Or what is the
what's the future of cameras, really? Taking photos. You're absolutely right. Making photos. The technology. Let me try to answer this in a very concise way, which I hope will be useful. These days, technology that you see in the cameras are composed of I think, let me say just 3 elements. The first element is what is permissible within the patent scheme that they have, what patents they have control over, or what they're prepared to pay for. Right? Secondly, there are features which are made into cameras, not so much to improve your photography, but to make it easier to sell the camera to you. That's why there are many features on cameras which sound great when you're in the shop, but you end up not using them. And then finally, the pure photographic elements, which sometimes it takes people time to work out the advantages of. And the Sony, they call it translucent mirror. It is a mirror, but you view a video image. And if you look at these kind of film guides, they've been viewing video images for the last 30 years. And that hasn't stopped them becoming great cinematographers. What it does is, it's saying, well, maybe you need to look and assess your image in a different way. It's like now everybody accepts that you can look at the image on the back of the camera. And I started to hint that that is changing the way people relate to pictures and to make pictures. Well, it's the same with all the new technologies. Everybody is trying to figure out what to do. Okay? And let me tell you a secret. I was talking to the designer of the Sony RX1, and he asked me, and actually I was with the world marketing manager as well, and they were saying, Tom, who do you think will buy the RX1? And you know, I nearly dropped my cup of coffee, because I'm thinking, boys, you've just invested millions, actually billions of yen in this beautiful camera, and you don't know who's going to buy it. It's because they felt that, all right, well, let's make something like this, like the RX1. Those of you who don't know, it's full frame, 35mm fixed lens, beautiful lens, very expensive, more expensive, as expensive as that Sony A77, or more actually. We don't know what this technology will do for us, and thank goodness for these manufacturers who will try it out and give us the opportunity to experiment. It's like the split panorama. Well, I think we'll see a lot of it. It's like tone mapping. Unfortunately, we've seen far too much of it. But 5 years ago, nobody knew anything about tone mapping and HDR. And now it's too much. So it's a very exciting time to be doing photography. It's just unfortunate that outside this room there are 200 million others.
Thanks for a great talk. It's very much appreciated from all of us. This is the second year of the HIPA. Do you feel that it has more interest in worldwide from last year? And do you feel that the standard is even higher this year than last year? Because when you check the Facebook for HIPA, this picture, the best picture of the day or something like this, you feel that those images are stunning, and they didn't even win last year. So do you feel there is even an improvement?
I think globally, I'm not trying to evade the question, but I mean the answer is that globally the standards of photography has blossomed, it has exploded. There are more people capable of taking a strong image on this planet than ever before. There are more people taking pictures that are only for private use and only suitable, of course. It's one of the reasons why there are 260 international photo competitions in the world at the moment. They all are finding their niche and their place, their style, what they want to say, what they want to encourage. So you have everything from world press photography to Spider Awards, Fine Art Awards. They all attract international prizes. They all work in different ways. For me, I think I can say that the most exciting thing here is the long-term vision of His Highness and Ali, that this is just not a competition which will actually simply just blow away like so many grains of sand if you don't keep it up. But this is part of building the foundation for greater photography and richer visual culture for the Middle East. That's the exciting thing. And what's going to happen? We're going to produce even more great photographers. And that's what we want. We want world-class photographers coming out of a region that is known as a desert for visual culture. I'm tired, you know, it helps that I'm Chinese, so I can see this. I'm tired of this domination of visual culture from the Northern Hemisphere. There are people here, culture here has different ways of looking at things, and I'm really looking forward to the time that you, Emiratis, everyone on the Arab Peninsula, the Middle East, start to acquire. I know. Let me say this about this, so you understand how the photography industry works. In the early days of digital, the professional photographers were terrified that digital would take over their world, and it has. It's like the Mongol hordes have taken over the world. So one of the things they had to develop was something that differentiated them from everyone else. My theory is that raw processing was it. Because at the beginning, there were very few raw processors, and you really had to know what you were doing. Because the default profile for a raw process was very hard to determine. Right? I can tell you, for example, that when I was, when the Leica M9 was produced, they were still having problems developing the Lightroom profile for the M9, right? The default profile. So even they had problems getting things right. So to just to summarize quickly, because I know it's getting late for everyone. My theory, my understanding is that RAW was created. The whole politics, propaganda about RAW was created to try to keep amateurs away from succeeding too easily. And unfortunately, see, what happens now is that when people process their RAW files in Lightroom and Aperture, what are they doing? They're using the default profile. The default profile has been designed to look exactly like the JPEG profile. So, unless you are digging into the pixels, and I suggest that light is too short to do that, there is very little point. And as I say, you come and you publish as many pictures a year as I do, and tell me that you need RAW, then I will listen to you.
Okay, everybody, on behalf of Crown Prince of Dubai and the Board of Trustees, we'd like to thank you so very much for this lovely evening. And I'm going to ask everybody that there is a certificate outside for everyone. And please follow us on the Facebook. There is more training coming during the years. Some of them is going to be in Arabic, some of them in English. Omar is there.
Finally.
And if somebody have any question about HIPA, I'm willing to answer. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much.